that Israel's attacks on Iran are ongoing, hitting an airport in one of the country's most northern major cities. Thank you for joining us. Just for edification of the audience, you're the head of political analysis at Pangea Policy Advisory. Really great to have you on a morning like this. What do you make of the fact that Israel's attacks, they are still ongoing? We did hear from Benjamin Netanyahu saying that basically it could take days or weeks and that Israel would continue. But what do you make of the fact that despite the U.S. kind of pushing back against these attacks, that they are still ongoing?
Good morning, Frank. Yeah, it's a very difficult situation. Let me say two things. One, for markets, I wonder whether the holiday from history is going to be over or not. You know, we've had the highest geopolitical risk in 50 years going ever since the Middle East war started. And, you know, my instinct is this is not going to be a blip. It's when people are, when you've got two countries that both think the other has existential threats, then the scene is set for something a little bit more for than Rock'em Sock'em robots. So this is a very volatile and difficult situation, and it's probably not going to get resolved quickly, and markets should look out for that. Secondly, you know, and Megan summarized this very well, so I won't go back over what she said. But you saw, I heard nothing in any of that exposition that indicated that the administration disagreed with the idea. They understand Israel's doing what it had to do, and were advised and watched in real time and all the rest. But and Iran has been warned by Secretary of State Rubio not to escalate. But at the same time, you know, we've seen in the past situations where President Trump or even President Biden have pulled the string on Israel and told it not to go forward, and that's not happening here.
So you're saying that's not happening. Very interesting. There were talks scheduled for the weekend between the U.S. and Iran. I believe a 6th round of talks in Oman. How does this change the dynamic specifically between the U.S. and Iran?
Well, you know, Trump's perspective is, and you bring that up appropriately, Trump's perspective has been that always that there are two paths, not one path. And his quote that, you know, he'd prefer the nicer path is indicative of that. But the United States and Iran are going to be on tenterhooks for quite some time. That was already happening with the evacuation of United States personnel from the Middle East in a variety of different areas. And I suspect that you know, as Iran looks at its options, it's going to evaluate just how and where and when it can discomfit or even attack United States interests. So we are by no means done here, and the danger zone hasn't passed either for Israel or, frankly, for the United States.
All right, Terry, one last question, and we got to get going after this. I think the question for a lot of investors is, what's Israel's ultimate goal? Is it to delay Iran's nuclear program or destroy it completely? And does Israel actually have the capability? Can they do it?
Well, Israel is opaque at this point. You know, they talk a lot about the degrading the nuclear capability and degrading the ballistic missile capability, and it would be interesting to see. And the answer is, I don't know whether Israel's objectives will change here over time. But, you know, I'll end with this, though. A lot of analysis that's happening today assumes that there are rational actors here acting rationally. And in that situation, one or more parties may end up acting irrationally to gain an advantage. So that's one reason why this situation is so difficult.